I'm Darrell Crow, and we're starting a fabulous new series today. Today, we're going to show you the 10 most common mistakes that beginning wet-on-wet artists make, and how you can correct them, or even better yet, avoid them. Over the next 10 tips, you're going to learn things that take you to a higher level. I suspect if you've never painted before, and this is your first film from me, then you should stop right now and go watch a series such as my basic techniques of oil painting, or the basic techniques of acrylic painting, or the basic techniques of water mixable oil painting. And the reason why I say that is very simple. Okay, one of the things that you need to do is to be well-rounded in the fundamentals before you start to understand what the problems are with implementing the fundamentals. Okay, I think that a lot of times we try to get ahead of ourselves. But if you've been painting for a while, if you've gone through my series, and now you're looking for a way to improve your oil painting or your acrylic painting, this is definitely the series for you. This series and my series on Learn to Paint from Photographs are what I call my advanced techniques. Now let me explain what I mean by that. Okay, as we start to learn how to use our paintbrushes, we learn how to mix up our oil paints, and we learn how to do the painting lesson that our instructors are teaching us. Then we come to that point in our lives where we say, I want to paint my own scenes. I want to go out there in real life and see what I want to paint it. Or better yet, I'm making mistakes with what I'm doing. How can I correct that? I keep doing this over and over, or something is not right. What is it that I'm doing wrong that I need to correct? And that's where we're focusing this film. Now, we're not going to teach you how to make a better mountain. My basic techniques will teach you how to do that. My basic techniques will teach you how to do a better wolf, a better flower, a better tall ship. Those techniques are already there. What we're going to do is to go a step further and talk about overall what are the things that I can do to make my entire process of painting much, much better. Okay, and I have kind of lumped a bunch of different problems into 10 different categories. Okay, so we're going to begin today with this lesson focusing on canvas and on mediums, because a lot of times I find that where the student is getting off wrong is they're not concentrating on selecting the right canvas, or they're applying medium incorrectly. So let's take a look at the kind of canvas that we're going to be using. I like using a stretched canvas. However, you can also use masonite or other art boards that are manufactured, and there's quite a range of them. There are those that look like canvas, and there are those that look like a masonite, but they're made out of a different material. These things are all called structures. The things that you paint on are called structures. So when it comes to choosing a canvas, a lot of times people are telling me, I don't know what's wrong. My canvas is like sucking up the paint, sucking up the medium, and I don't seem to get anywhere. I can't blend. I can't put the paints down. I'm frustrated. I want to throw the whole thing away. There's a couple of things when you go to purchase a canvas that you need to be aware. First, it needs to be pre-primed. Generally, 2 coats of primer is what you need. And it really doesn't matter whether you're using an Econo canvas that's made out of cotton, or you're using the finest Belgian linen in the world. You want to have this pre-primed, at least 2 coats. Now, if it's not, don't let that deter you. What you need to do is put 2 or 3 coats of gesso on there yourself. So you'd take the canvas, if it's not primed, and just put a layer of gesso on it, let it dry for a day, come back, put another layer of gesso. That's going to do a couple of things, but most importantly, it's going to coat the weave so that the acids in the paints do not soak up into the linen itself. You want to use this as a structure so that you're applying the paints on top of them. So remember that when you go to buy your canvas. The next thing that I find that people make in terms of a large mistake is putting on way too much medium. In the wet on wet technique, there are two properties that are very important. One is blending, and the second one is putting the medium on initially. And the reason we do this is so we can enhance the blending. We put a light medium on in order for our colors to blend to the brighter side. We put a dark medium if we want the colors to blend to the gray side. And if we want the colors to stay true, then we'll use a medium that has no color in it, or what we call a clear medium. And most of your regular oil painting mediums are clear. Most of your water mixable oil painting mediums are clear. Most of your acrylic mediums are clear. So by and far, people are adjusting the colors they want by mixing the right color in the paint. However, in the wet on wet style, over the past, I would say 3 decades, it's become quite fashionable to put a color into the medium and thereby reducing a lot of concern about, I got to remember to put a little white to lighten this up. It's fun to do that because you don't have to worry about it. So I'm going to go ahead and show you exactly how to make sure that your medium is on correctly. Not too thick and not too thin. Now, what are the problems you run across if you have way too much medium? Well, the first thing is whenever you try to layer another color of paint on top of that, it's going to slide around. If you've ever had difficulties painting a cloud onto your canvas, and when you get up there, it turns blue instantly. If your sky is blue, if it's red, it'll turn red. But in other words, as you try to make those clouds, the undercolor, the sky color, is mixing in with that, and it's sliding all over the place. That's a problem with too much medium. Another problem is that when you go to put on your, let's say you want to put a mountain or a tree or something on this, over the sky, and you find that it's just impossible, and then when you go to highlight using a knife, it's just like not grabbing, not sticking. That's another problem associated with too much medium. In nearly everything that we're doing when we're painting, if we have too much medium, it's going to create a mess. It's going to create a lot of mud, and it's not going to be fun to deal with. So in order to correct it, we have to reduce the amount of medium that is on the canvas. So let's go on down to the palette and just take a look at the different mediums we're going to be using. We'll go up to the canvas and I will show you how to correct too much medium. Right here we have a medium white. This is by far the most popular type of wet on wet medium that has a color in it. And this is one version of medium clear. And here's another medium clear. This one, let me just talk about these. This one has been made very popular in the past 25 years or so by television artists who have done some incredible things with this. And what it allows you to do is to really have a super amount of the natural colors coming out as opposed to color that's been lightened up by the medium white. Now over here I have regular oil painting medium, which is typically a mixture of odorless turpentine and linseed oil. Normally it's 25% linseed oil and 75% of turp. Now, a lot of people will add things to this, and they'll have a lean or a fat. In other words, the wetter or the fatter a medium is, the more linseed oil it has. The leaner it is, the less linseed oil it has. And they may also have some components that are similar to cobalt or similar to Japan dryer that will hasten the drying time or will prolong the time the canvas stay wet. Both of these painting mediums prolong the amount of time, so they are fat mediums, okay? And this one is a lean medium. Now, a lot of people will say, oh boy, I want to hasten the drying time of these. What can I add to them? Well, that is not a very good question, and here's why. If you tried to add a quick drying element into these different mediums, two things are potentially hazardous. One, they will yellow over time quickly because you have to add so much of the drying element that you increase the ability of these elements to break down and turn yellow and crack over time. Now, it may take a decade, but generally most mediums will allow the painting to be relatively clear for the first 50 years. And after that, if it starts to yellow, then it's a matter of just how, what the quality level of the medium was. So you need to be careful about that. Second is you're really not reducing the amount of time it takes to dry by adding the drying elements in there. They become a little more on the lines of self-defeating and neutralizing the prolonged wetness, but it takes so much drying element to neutralize the additives that have been put into these mediums that it just really doesn't make any sense. Bottom line is, if you want a wet medium, which most of us do because we sit down and in a day we want to be finished with that painting. But if we go a second day or a third day, then we still want to be able to come in and not have to re-wet the canvas. So in these cases, these mediums make sense. Now, if what you're looking for is a medium that will allow you all the attributes of painting wet on wet, and then you want it to dry within a day or two, then a lean medium, such as an oil painting medium that is marked lean. If it's not marked lean, then it will have the natural amount of time that it takes to dry. So make sure you understand what medium you're using. Now, let's talk about how we apply the medium. I'm going to take this rather wide brush. This is a 2.5 inch bristle or horsehair brush, and I will dunk this in. Now, do not, okay, don't do that, because if you have any colors in there, it's just going to go ahead and get all over the sides of the brush bristles and make it very difficult to clean. The best thing to do is just dunk it down no more than 1/2 inch, and shake the excess off. If it won't shake off, then you need to add some mineral spirits or some odorless turp to this to thin it down, okay? Now, with this done, let's come up to the canvas and show you how to apply it. The main thing to do when putting the medium on is go right down the center, okay? And as you can see, I wiggled, and that's to get as much of the medium out of the brush that I can. And then very gently, don't be going 90 miles an hour. If you go 90 miles an hour, you're going to get spots. And you're going to have leprosy, paint leprosy all over your room. Okay, I discovered this when I was taking a class. And there was a Frenchman next to me, and he was a nice gentleman, He does not think I was very nice because I was so used to being in a basement by myself and painting as I was a student learning to paint that I just went there and then I felt this tap on my shoulder. And I looked over and there was this strange guy looking at me with red hair and spots all over his glasses, spots all over his face, and he was trying to speak to me, but he was stuttering. He was so mad. I never saw a guy so mad. And I interpreted, even though he was speaking French, and probably both kinds of French, I don't know, but I interpreted what he was saying was, please do not go quickly with the 2.5-inch brush when it is fully loaded with medium. And I immediately apologized. I hope he understood that. He would not sit next to me anymore. See, now this time around, notice I didn't go the full half. I only went down a little bit. Okay, I want you to think about that story whenever you're putting this on, especially if you're sitting next to someone. You don't, and if you're upstairs where you're on your wife's beautiful maple furniture that her ancient grandmother gave to her that's older than she is, then you especially do not want to have spotted furniture. And believe you me, no matter how careful you are in wiping these spots off, there's some that you won't see. I know. Okay, now you've seen me go ahead and paint this, okay? And I've covered the whole canvas with a nice even coat, or at least I would say it is an even coat of paint. Now watch this. I'm going to take my finger and lightly touch the center. Now I want you to get a good close-up look of that. Okay, see that? You can see my fingerprint. That's what you're looking for, okay? When you do your medium and put your medium on, you're looking for just a small amount. Now I'm going to go ahead, just for the sake of demonstration, and go ahead and put a little extra medium. And then I'm going to show you how it will look on your finger and the problems you'll have. Okay, so here we are. Now, I want you to look at this. The bottom has the right amount of paint, a right amount of medium. The top has too much. If I take and touch my middle finger, you're going to see my fingerprint. If I touch the top, notice the difference. Here, let's zoom up on that so you can see the difference. See the difference? Okay, if yours is looking more like the right side, the right finger, then you need to take off the excess than what's on the left finger. Okay, let me show you how do you do that. Okay, you take a clean, dry brush and you start right here at the bottom half, right here, and with X, see, I'm removing the excess. How do I know that I'm removing the excess? Well, look at my brush. See, that's all coming up. And so what we'll do is we'll go across, and we just go from right to left and left to right. Okay? Because you know what happens is if you're in the police station and they're doing your fingerprint and they don't get it right, I'm told that they will wipe your hand off and redo it. Okay? So, you know, these are what I've heard. I wouldn't know, of course, but some of you can verify what I'm saying, I'm sure. Okay, so clean your brush, go take it again, see? And you go backwards and forwards. So if you're having difficulties, like I said before, with the sky clouds blending into the sky color, then check the amount of medium you have. And if you've got to wipe off that sky color and redo your medium by taking off some excess medium, then do that. Don't sit there and get lazy and say, oh, I'm not going to do it. You want to get it right. Okay, see here? Just take And there it is. We've got our, and now if you take a look at both, I kind of didn't just lightly touch it there. Okay, there we are. So both of my fingers now have the same amount of paint. So that's how easy it is to correct the problem. But it is one of the biggest problems that I see. And it's not just with medium white. Let me show you what else happens if you're using a clear. The next thing I want to show you is the medium clear. Now, I've got some medium clear, which is just like the medium white, except that it has no color in it. But it's also a very fat medium. It is designed to keep the canvas wet for quite a prolonged period of time. So, let me go ahead and take the big brush, dunk it in there, and again, I dunk it only about a ½ inch up. Okay, now it's very, very important because the thin, or the clear medium is very, very thin compared to the medium white. Now, watch this. As I come along, see how easy it spreads on? So it is really, really easy to get too much medium on this canvas. So I'm just going to start in the medium, or start in the middle of the canvas, work my way down with a wiggly stroke, and then I go back to the top of the canvas, and with the X strokes I will stroke to the right and then to the left with X strokes. Okay, and I am very quickly going ahead and covering that whole canvas. And I just go X, 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 drop down a row, go X, 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 X. I'm using a 16-inch by 20-inch canvas. Now look at this. We can see from the glare here that we've got a lot of spots that have a lot of medium and other areas which just has a little bit of medium. You only need a very thin coat. Let me say that again. You need only a very thin coat of medium when you're dealing with medium clear or with regular oil painting medium. Now I'm taking a paper towel, okay, and I'm going to just go ahead and wipe it off. I'm using a firm stroke. I am not, putting my weight behind it. I am just putting a firm pressure. What is left behind is all you need. See what's left on the paper towel? I use an absorbent paper towel like Vivo or Scott. I think Browning falls into that area as well, but you want something that's very, very absorbent and does not leave lint behind. Okay, so you will spend a few more pennies for instance. It's not your inexpensive brand that you would find in your major department stores like Kmart, Walmart, and some of the larger chains of discount stores, discount department stores. What you want to do, and in fact, all of those stores, they offer at a great price the more expensive towels that we can use so we can get a good deal. Shop around. It's worth the extra price. Okay, now at this point in time, if you can still feel or see the wetness, but you can't quite feel it, then it's ready to go. I have to be honest, it's going to take you 4 or 5 of these because you're going to think, oh, I'm not leaving enough medium behind, but you are. Okay, you are leaving more than enough. Don't be timid about this. Be a good firm pressure, but you're not scrubbing it off. Okay? And that's all there is to it. Okay, let's summarize. One of the biggest problems, and in fact the biggest problem that I see from beginning wet on wet artists is using too much medium. You want just enough medium on that canvas so you can blend colors together, and then as you're layering the colors on top of each other, you can blend those colors together as well. So it's the application of paint and the blending of paint that we're looking to do. And that's why we use medium. Now we use different medium for different effects, but generally that's not the problem I see. I see that people put way too much medium, and effectively what happens is it cripples their ability to use the technique properly. The other thing I see is in the selection of canvas. So I see a lot of people will go down to some of these discount stores, import stores, and they will buy canvases without reading whether or not they've been double primed. So yes, get double primed canvas. Yes, use your medium very sparingly. And you've seen a couple of ways to correct it. I'm Darrell Crow, I'm your art instructor, and this has been a special tip for you.
Well, I'm painting along, Darrell Crow and a song, painting, and it goes like this. I could be painting the scene with color of green, painting, and it goes like this. A billion people I know think it's hard, but this ain't so. Darrell, it's a breeze, it's easy as 1, 2, 3. Oh, I'm a painting along, Darrell Crow and a song, painting, and it goes like this.